You came for the pint, but you ended up in Scary Larry's House of Horrors. Wrong turn, bitches.
Wyciągnijcie nas, nie bój.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Scary Larry's House of Horrors. This is the final episode of Season 3. Season 3 started way back in October of 2022. We talked about Street Trash, which coincidentally, as we get around to this one, apparently they're making or remaking or rebooting pretty soon. We discussed The Prowler. We discussed Excision. That was a weird one. And then we got to number 4 not too long ago and talked about Humanoids from the Deep. And now we're finishing it off with a very strange film called The Lure. My name is John.
And I'm Lloyd. Scary Larry.
I'm Laura.
So we're finishing the season off. This was the losers list. These were movies that Larry wanted to do that did not get voted in season 1 or season 2. This is also, coincidentally, technically, in Scary Larry's House of Horrors, season-wise, this is the 25th episode. We've been doing these for quite a while. We started with Day of the Dead way back with Sir John on Pine of Comics, and I always think of Day of the Dead every time I watch it now from that viewing, which is at least 2 times, is if you pay attention at the end, there is a Sir John zombie. Do you remember that, Larry? There's one zombie that looked like John with the Hawaiian shirt on.
Yeah, the Hawaiian shirt zombie.
The Hawaiian shirt on. Quite funny. All right, Larry, give us a little bit of an idea of why the hell you picked The Lure and what it's all about before we get into it.
Sure. So The Lure came to me for review for Horror News Network. I believe 2017 is when it got some sort of American release. It was a 2015 film originally. I think it was released in Poland theatrically, did some film festivals, and then got U.S. release in 2017, so it came across my plate. I hadn't heard about it until it came to me for review. I watched it. This was one of those, I think I've told the story before, Napoleon Dynamite. When I watched Napoleon Dynamite, I sat staring at the TV for maybe 45 seconds after it was over, just trying to process what I had just watched, and then immediately pressed play again, and then laughed my ass through the whole fucking thing. Kind of like the same with The Lure. I don't think I watched it directly after. Maybe I went and had a poop. Maybe I made some tea. I'm not sure. But I did rewatch it the same night because I was kind of like trying to process it and was just like, I'm not sure what I watched. So I rewatched it again that night. Still wasn't quite sure what I watched, but realized I really enjoyed it. And I have recommended it to several people since, most of who ignored me, smartly or not. We'll see what you guys think. The few that have watched it on my recommendation have also enjoyed it. So it was something that I wanted to talk about with you guys. I like to bring you guys strange shit, from Rubber to The Greasy Strangler to, whatever other strange movies I've brought your way. This was one that I wanted you guys to join in with me and enjoy. And I knew that Laura had actually seen it, not even on my recommendations. So I was happy that she had seen it and wanted to be a part of this as well.
I do very much love this movie. Or maybe I don't. Or maybe
Larry,
yes, you have brought us some good one. Teeth, Excision, The Lure, The Greasy Strangler. It's almost endless.
And Lloyd, you have not seen this, correct?
Yeah. No.
And I have not
now,
seen this.
Though. I've seen it at least twice now.
All right. So Laura and Larry are the vets on this one. You and me are the rooks. Why don't we get right into it? Let's talk about The Lure.
The Lure.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
So guess what? I got all the info this time.
I took the week off.
Right.
I've had a
John
long week.
Yeah. So
I also didn't want to pronounce Polish names.
I was actually thinking about
well,
that.
I'm going
who's
to.
gonna have to pronounce all of these names?
Yeah, I can't wait for Lloyd to give this cast. I can't wait for
It's going to be a huge failure on my part, but I'm going to try. And Larry, if you know anything about this movie, or Laura, feel free to interject.
Nope, it's all yours. You do it.
Yeah, it was hard
go
getting
for it.
some of this. The lore released, as Larry said, in 2015 in Poland on December 25th, which some of you might know that's Christmas Day.
It's even Christmas in Poland.
Right, even in Poland. Had a limited
This is
U.S.
a Christmas
release.
movie.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Right up there with Die Hard.
Yeah, the argument is right up there with the Die Hard argument. Is the lore a Christmas movie?
Yes. Limited U.S. release in 2017, and then a DVD and Blu-ray Criterion collection release in 2017.
Spine number 896, apparently, if you were.
I was actually thinking of buying that myself.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's a great
it's on
I think I might have to
HBO
pick that up.
or what you would call Max nowadays. So if you want to stream it, that's where you can see it. Yeah, well, crazy. The bumper sticker, I'm going to give you that first. I mean, you kind of heard what we said, but basically, in Warsaw, Poland, a pair of mermaid sisters dream of life in America. They join a band at an adult dance club. One sister wants to love a human, and the other just wants to eat humans.
There are several descriptions on different sites of this movie, or different sites that talk about this movie, that say two mermaid sisters fall in love with the same man.
Oh.
And I'm like, and so I was expecting that because I saw it more than once, and clearly that's wrong. So if you see that, totally wrong.
Yeah, no, that
Yeah,
never
that doesn't
happens.
happen at all.
Yeah, I mean the opening scene when Silver is looking at him on the shore, Golden does also look intrigued by him, but I always took it that she looks intrigued because she wanted to fucking eat his throat.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was eat his heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so this movie is directed by, and I believe this was a first time director, female. So if you don't recognize these names, this is a female. Directed by Agnieszka Smozinska.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Right?
I think you did a good job on that.
I can get this one. Screenplay by Robert Belesto.
That's easy.
That was easy. Mhm.
And the screenplay is loosely based on The Little Mermaid by, of course, Hans Christian Andersen. Filmed in Mozuski, Sromediski, Warsaw, and Mazowiecki.
Are you an
Poland.
undercover Polish agent?
Yeah.
We have Lloyd is a secret Polish.
Yeah.
What you can't see is Lloyd is eating a plate of pierogies and drinking a glass of vodka.
Oh my God, I have them both upstairs right now. I should have brought them down.
You know what's really funny is that like a couple of times in our relationship, I've like Lloyd said, "Excuse me, I have to take care of something," and then I hear him on the phone. He's like, "Yes, exactly." He is buying me being American co-host of podcast every day. He is fool. He is great fool. It's a matter of fact. Yeah, now it makes
got
sense.
it.
You're secret Polish, as Laura said.
Secret Polish.
Exactly. So this director, whose name I won't try and say again, basically wanted to tell her own coming of age story, echoing her own youthful experience of drinking and smoking and sex and disappointment and all that garbage. But the mermaids were kind of like the cover story, so that's where The Little Mermaid comes in. But she also wanted to draw from tales of the 14th century, 14th, 15th century, that describes mermaids, and I never knew this, as like sisters of dragons.
Yeah, I read the same thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, they make it a real point in this movie to make the mermaids not, this is going to sound weird, but like, not like floppy-tailed
Yeah.
pretty mermaids. They're like supposed to be like eels or
They're
something.
fucking, yeah, I mean, those are definitely eel tails.
Yeah.
What are they, like 6 foot long tails?
Yeah, and they don't split off at the
They
end.
don't-
It's just
yeah,
like
they
don't have
comes
that
to
split.
a pointy end. Yeah, and they have like spines on them and stuff.
Well, by the way, they actually do have a split. It's just not at the end.
Oh. They have a special
That's the
split.
slit.
Yeah. Yeah. Aw.
Yeah. So they are, as you can imagine, they're monstrous. Later in the movie, you actually see their full, teeth and everything. Whew. And as far as the screenwriter, Robert Belesto, he wanted to write a story based on friends of his that frequented nightclubs in the 80s. So that kind of resonated and mashed it all together. And this is what you get from that. And amazingly, we don't talk about this, but on Rotten Tomatoes, this film holds 89%.
Too low, but we'll get there.
Yeah. Which is pretty damn good, I would say. let's get to the cast now.
Shabuya roll call.
Maybe
we
I'm
go.
going to mess up most
More
of it.
names. I'm so
I am
excited.
ready?
Me and Larry are both rubbing our hands together.
So you have the two mermaid sisters. One is a lighter haired and the other is a darker haired. So the lighter haired girl, her name is Marta Mazurek. Pretty easy. She plays Silver, the lighter haired. Then you got Michalina Oslanska as Golden, the darker haired one.
Not bad, you secret poll.
Seriously.
So Marta Mazurek, I don't think anyone would know anything of hers. Everything's like Polish shows and Polish movies. The darker-haired girl, she's got a couple of Netflix series. One called 1983 and one called The Witcher.
The Witcher. Isn't that Henry Cavill?
I don't think it's that Witcher. It might be.
There's two Witchers?
There's more than one Witcher?
Maybe there's like Polish Netflix, maybe.
Polish Witcher?
Polish Netflix.
Polflix.
Right. So then we have, as I'm going to call her, the mother figure nightclub singer. She's just called nightclub singer in the credits.
She doesn't need a name.
Kinga Price.
No, she has a name. It's Christina or something.
Some of them do have names.
Albums in the background or something.
Yeah. Because when you watch it with subtitles, you do see names.
Right.
But they're not listed that way in the credits. So Kinga Price is the mommy nightclub singer. She's got many different looks. She's got the tight blonde curls, and then she's got like a red-haired curl, and she's got a big afro. And
I would like to describe her as like a washed-up. Like she was probably kind of a big deal in like mid-60s to early 70s Poland, right? And now it's like 80s, and she's kind of washed up, singing at this nightclub/restaurant.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that's perfect description of that character.
Well, by the way, nightclub/restaurant that also has an Olympic-sized swimming pool in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which was also a real nightclub/restaurant in Poland that had that the women that this movie was based on grew up at, like their mother. All right. Let me interject really quickly. So Lloyd, everything you'd said was right. So the screenwriter, but what the screenwriter wanted to do was write the story of the two women who were in the band that did all the music for this movie. And they're actually in the movie in the wedding scene. They're the women who are playing in the band at the wedding scene. Yeah, that's actually them. These two women basically grew up as kids in this nightclub in Poland, saw all this crazy shit as you would, other than the mermaid part, normal crazy shit in a nightclub. And this guy knew them, and they're a famous music duo in Poland. He wanted to write their story. One of the sisters was like, no, I don't want a movie about us, blah, blah, blah. So the guy who wrote the screenplay was already talking to the director who had similar experiences. She too grew up as part of like the Polish music scene in a nightclub with her mom, same thing. And then somehow, I don't remember, because I was watching on the Criterion release, there's a fucking 45-minute behind the scenes interview with all of them. And somehow somebody said, well, let's make them mermaids. And screenwriter was like,
hell yeah.
Sounds good to me. Let me go ask the band women. And the band women were like, yeah, make them mermaids. Yeah, you can do the movie now.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it came about. They were just like, yeah, mermaids. So we'll take this story of, what the director is comfortable with because she grew up in this space. The screenwriter wants to write about these two women. And they said, but we'll make them mermaids. And
they had one stipulation. They said mermaids is fine.
Eels.
But they have to be eel mermaids with pussies in their tails.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
That eat men.
Yeah, eat men.
That's right. And it works. It fucking works.
Yep.
All right. This next guy has a weird looking L, so I'm gonna have fun with that. Jacob Gierszak as Mytek, the bass player. Yeah. Mytek. He has been in Dracula Untold.
Oh.
And he played Morris. He played in Morris from America with Craig Robinson. I don't know if either of you have seen or heard of that.
No. He's a handsome gentleman, that bass player.
I thought he looked exactly like Evan Peters.
Oh, yeah.
Why does that sound familiar?
American Horror Story, Quicksilver.
That kid, yes. Good call.
Mm-hmm.
Good call.
Yeah.
That is
like every time I saw him.
Yeah.
Evan Peters. Like I couldn't.
Who was
get it out of my
also a
head.
handsome gentleman, so
Yes,
it makes
he is.
sense.
Mhm.
Yes, and that's
Uh,
who Silver falls in love with.
Yes, that's the
Yes.
boy toy.
Yes, that's right. Then you have Andrzej Konopka as the drummer. This guy's
Band
crazy.
leader.
I love
He's the
this
leader
guy.
of the
Yeah,
band.
this is the band leader.
Yeah.
He's fucking funny to watch, man.
He's
His-
something.
And he has
his
a sick
antics.
ass rat tail.
Yeah.
Like braided rat tail.
I didn't notice it till the last scene, like at the
Oh,
wedding.
it's there the entire time.
Okay, I only saw it at the wedding because I said to myself, "Is it?" I know that obviously time is supposed to have passed by the time we get to the wedding because you assume time has to pass for the relationship to get to the wedding point. But I'm like, did he grew a rat tail down to the middle of his back in like a couple months, and I didn't see it the rest of the movie.
No idea. Zygmunt Manilovich as the house manager.
That
That's
guy.
an older dude just sort of creeping around.
Yeah,
With his cool pencil mustache.
You
we're gonna
looks like you have
we're gonna
something to say
talk
about him.
that guy. We're gonna
Yeah.
talk about that
I
guy.
have some things to say
he's
about
a little
that guy.
troublesome in some parts.
Yes.
Magdalena Chileka as Divine Furs, the strip dancer.
Yes, and was that the same one that well, I mean, we'll get to it, but was she the same woman that the band leader left the singer for because he's with her at the end on the boat, or was that not the? Am I just getting? Am I saying that all Polish people look the same? Is that what I'm-
That's fucking racist, John.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I
Like,
believe
was
that
her.
is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yep. And the last one, Katarzyna Herman as the militia lieutenant.
She has these
Strange.
one of the single grossest things that we've seen in any Scary Larry film is her. It has her in it. I actually just went, ugh. It's, I'll just say it now. It's when she's like, getting down with Golden and she licks like her tail ridge.
Yeah.
Honestly, I went from being as turned on as you could be to as grossed out as you could be. I went from like the pinnacle of like, oh, lesbian sex to, oh my God, she's licking her tail ridge.
Right, the ridge.
It was so
I'm fascinated by you being grossed out by that.
super grossed out.
I was
Like,
more worried about her cutting her tongue.
Yeah.
I thought that too, but like honestly, I don't know if I've ever gone from like that high that, whew, what's happening here? All right, I can't wait to see what happens here to like, oh my fucking God.
Would it have been okay if it wasn't the ridge? Like if it was just another part of the
Honestly,
The side of the ridge.
strangely enough, if it was just like the tail, like a smooth part of the tail,
just the scales, right?
I would almost be like, okay. But if they went to either the ridge or the mermaid vagina, I would have had
slit?
The mergina.
the mergina. I would have maybe been a little bit weirded out by that too.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like that would be the least gross part of the tail to lick. I don't know. Do you not like fish at all? Because you were telling me yesterday that you don't like sushi.
Yeah, I don't like sushi. I do like fish.
Okay.
But first of all, Laura, is fish a code for something? Are you asking?
No.
Okay.
She means actual fish.
Okay.
No, I was
all right.
actually talking about literal sushi.
Sushi, no. Cooked fish to an extent, yes. I have I developed an allergy as an adult to shellfish, so I kind of stay away from all of it.
I'm baffled by, like, I'm thinking, like, would it be okay to lick like a shark gill and not a shark fin? Like,
I'm kind of wondering what it would feel like
Maybe
on my
the
tongue to
dorsal
lick
fin.
some scales.
Yeah.
I think
could
it'd be
actually
gross
just lick
to
a
lick
fish, though, I guess.
against the scale, though, than rather
Yeah,
than with
that
the
might
scale.
cut your tongue. I'm just really worried about people cutting their tongue on licking fishes.
John,
Yeah.
I think you need to talk. I think you need to talk to somebody about this. I think there's something.
Yeah.
I think that's a good quote.
I've got
really
a
weird stuff that you just said about licking fishes.
licking
Yeah.
fishes.
I've got a whole list of like therapy stuff that I've got to identify and put in order, and that's in there now. That's certainly in there.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
Yeah, if there was a title to this episode, it might be licking fishes.
No, I think it's.
licking fish.
I got to be honest. I
Secret
thought
poll.
Secret poll. It was
100%.
as soon as Laura said secret Polish, I immediately said if this was the old days and I still did that, it would have been secret Polish.
Every time something like that comes up in my head, I'm always like, if John still named fucking episodes, and as soon as she said secret poll, I was like, that's it. Like, episode's already named 5 minutes in.
Yeah. Secret Polish was
Can't
awesome.
top it.
All right, so that's everything for Castloyd.
Yeah, that's everything.
All right,
What do you think about that opening credits?
Oh, they were cool.
Oh, those,
yeah,
those are
that was
awesome. I
really
love
cool.
that. I actually rewound it a couple of times and watched it. The animation was great.
Yeah, I
love
didn't get the
that.
name, but I guess it was some artist that's known for its depictions of like fairy tale creatures and stuff.
Okay.
And
I
yeah,
feel like even if you had gotten the name, you wouldn't be able to pronounce it.
it's
True.
less. Lloyd
You would
would
have
have.
given it to Lloyd.
Yeah, it would have been
It
handed
was.
off to the secret Polish.
It was Vincenzino Mascarpone stuff.
I do
Made him
really.
Italian.
I've never
Partially.
I've never thought about whether or not I enjoy stuff like that, but I guess I do because I really, I didn't love that Candyman new Candy. I won't call it a remake. It's not a remake, but I did really enjoy that middle part that was like remember it was like the shadows.
Yeah,
like
the shadow,
puppets. And also in the Bloomquist, She Came from the Woods. I really enjoyed the parts with Gilbert, young Gilbert, and I really enjoyed things like that. I don't know. I don't know
It
why I
brings
felt
like
the
a
need to even
nice-
say it, but
I don't want to say it breaks up a movie well, but when it's done really well, I think
Yeah.
it enhances the story. It's so you're not having to film or do really crazy CGI things.
Yeah.
And it also, I think it is really done well when it's related to like dream sequences or
Yep.
like flashbacks. I think that's a
Flashbacks, right.
cool
Yeah.
element to use.
right.
for
And
stuff
this
like that.
this kind of like to show like some of the mythical, background of the mermaid. Like it was really cool. It was a
Yeah,
Yeah,
really
you see
cool.
the skulls there, so
Yeah,
you
these are not
automatically
your
know
typical
they're not like
mermaids.
they're not Ariel or whatever.
Right,
you know.
Right.
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 And I think you should actually, if I'm correct, don't you see her eating somebody?
Yeah,
Like,
I
yeah.
think so yeah.
Yeah,
comes
and there's
up
like
to it.
cigarettes there also.
Yeah.
And
I always go back to, when I think of like stuff like that, I always go back to the opening scene of, Bram Stoker's Dracula with the battle. That's
Good
like,
one.
all
Good
like
one.
hand puppets and shit, but it looks
Yeah.
35 years old or whatever. And that movie, that looks awesome. That
Yeah.
scene. Yeah.
That's a movie I need to rewatch. I saw that in the theater. I really enjoyed it, even though Keanu Reeves tries to fuck it all up.
yeah.
he tries his darndest.
God, man, he got so. If it wasn't for Gary Oldman and literally everybody else in that movie,
Mhm.
he really would have sunk it because he was just. And I love Keanu Reeves, I really do. But whoa, Dracula, whoa, like
He's not that kind of actor. He has roles that he does very well in,
right.
and then he's not good when applied
Yeah.
to other kind of.
I am a lawyer from London, England. I'm here
yeah.
to broker your real estate deal, Count Dracula.
No, wait, Ted.
But wait, there's more. Yeah, it's not great. I mean, the
Yeah.
movie's good, but that's
And it
that's
really
not great.
is. The rest of it is so fucking good, and Lucy is so hot.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say how hot Lucy was.
All right, Laura, why don't you tell us, like, right off the bat, first scene, what we have going on in the first scene of this film?
Well, the first scene is we see this band kind of jamming on the beach.
Sure.
They're having fun. Seems like a good time. And then we pan over to the water, and the first mermaid's head pops up. I think it's Silver that
Mhm.
pops up first.
Yeah,
And then we kind of go back to them. They don't really notice, and then back and Golden pops up, and they
Start singing along.
Yeah, they're into it. Like, I think that's kind of what attracts them to. They found this music and they want to be a part of it, and they start singing the song, which is actually "Won't you help us ashore" or something, is what the lyrics were.
Oh, it's
And-
It's creepy.
Yeah,
Their lyrics are creepy. They're like,
Yeah.
"We're not
Don't
gonna
worry,
eat you."
we won't eat
Yeah,
you.
we
Yeah,
won't
we
eat
won't
you.
eat
Come help us ashore. Promise,
Yeah.
cross my heart.
the whole thing
And
is
the-
creepy. The way
and
they're
the dudes-
harmonizing,
And the dudes are like, "Ooh."
they're
Yeah,
sirens.
they're entranced by it. They're
Right.
like
And
nothing else is
The woman
happening.
screams.
Yeah.
Woman, yeah. She
Mhm.
ain't.
And you're looking at the looks that those girls are giving, and at first you're like, oh, two hot girls, but then I'm like, I don't ever want anyone to look at me like that because
Oh, yeah, those are
I look
some
like
get some
I feel like
looks.
I'm lunch right now.
Yeah. And you probably would have been.
And
Yeah.
not to mention, Silver has shark eyes.
Yeah,
she's
that
got
was
black-
that was
black-
something I was
Yeah.
trying to reconcile throughout the entire movie. I was
Mhm.
trying to figure out if there was, because again, it's a coming of age story. I was trying to figure out if they had changed throughout the movie, and I couldn't tell if Golden also had dark eyes too. But I was having a hard time actually focusing on that. But
Golden
yeah.
seemed to have normal eyes, and
Right.
Silver
yeah, but
had
there's some scenes
black.
where it was very dark.
Right. Right, and the actress doesn't have, because I looked up the actress and she's got regular eyes.
Regular old human eyes.
Yeah, she's
That's
not
one
a
of-
shark at all.
That's one of my favorite David Bowie songs. Regular eyes, regular eyes. You're not a shark. You've got regular eyes.
Are you a siren? Are you trying to entrance all of us?
I'm trying to. I want to point one thing out there too as well, because I think Lloyd was just trying to be polite to Laura earlier when he referred to Silver multiple times as light hair. She's a ginger. I think that's part of her evil is that she's a ginger. I just want to throw that out there.
That's why she has shark eyes.
Yeah. Shark-eyed
Oh.
ginger.
Yeah, I'm actually
Right.
wearing contacts. I have shark eyes.
I knew it.
Actually, there are some pictures of me when I'm a baby. My eyes look big and black, and I look like I have no soul, and it's actually really funny and appropriate.
Wonderful.
You're
Wonderful.
a siren too.
Lloyd's now speaking into his Polish recorder. Look into this Highland girl's past. I think she might be Shark Demon from Antipoli.
I do have one really sharp tooth, actually.
Oh yeah?
Just one, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a shitty shark, Laura.
Just one, yeah.
That's a shitty shark.
Yeah, I'm not good at what I do.
So I want to ask a question about the as this movie goes along. So that's the first scene. And then this movie does something repeatedly is it seems to just skip ahead a lot. How do you feel about that, Manster, in terms of like a storytelling progression? Because they come out of the water, they sing this song, and then we don't see what happens. They're just all of a sudden ingratiated into their lives. And that happens throughout the course of the movie is it keeps on kind of feeling like they're filling in the gaps. Did you feel that way? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I absolutely noticed the jumps, and I know to me, and the way I process things, I don't like big jumps like that. I want a little bit more in between. But yeah, I mean, I think low budget film and new filmmaker, she had to do what she could, and I think that's just part of the filming process for this movie. I mean, there's so much going on in this. You don't need every little in between detail.
Right. So
There's only one time it bothered me. I was fine with the jumps. I thought the music, kind of tied those jumps together. We're skipping way ahead. The end when Silver's rejected, and then fucking within 6 seconds you're at the guy's wedding. That was a weird.
I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, I agree with that, but and again, jumping ahead, because we always do this, I also thought a really weird sequence in this movie that I didn't feel was supported by anything else was, what was the sequence with them either all on heroin? Like, did they give us an idea?
They were drugged.
I have
ventilation. I don't know.
You mean like at the scene at the house?
At the house, where they were all like, it seemed like they were all like on a drip or something. I thought, are they trying to say that these people are they've all been like addicts the whole time? But like, I don't know.
I had a theory about that because that's, again, jumping ahead, that's immediately after they kind of disposed of the two mermaids. I felt like they were in kind of withdrawal from I feel like they were under a trance of the mermaids, and now they didn't have that anymore, and everything just went to shit with all of them. Mm-hmm. And the IV stuff, I kind of just saw that as like a hangover or whatever, just to kind of bring them back to life.
Right.
That's how I kind of interpret.
I like that interpretation.
I agree because even the woman was to the point where she was having. Remember, she was having the dream where she was nursing both of them,
mm-hmm. And so she had her own tail.
Yeah, so she had even though at the beginning you see that the sirens have entranced the two men, she screams, so she's not entranced, but them being with her for so long had even started to take her over. So I agree with Laura. It was kind of like they were weaning off of heroin.
Laura just said something that made me laugh because I think that it just proves that I was so entranced at that scene where like she was dreaming that they were nursing on her that I didn't even notice that she had a tail.
Oh yeah.
No, my eyes were strictly on one thing in that scene, and it wasn't, and I'm not even saying it like sexually. I'm just like, oh, well, this whole movie to me was just yes, exactly. It was a series of, well, that makes sense.
It's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Well, I think like she saw herself as kind of a mother figure to them, because you always like, even in the beginning, she's kind of coddling them, consoling them, protecting them. And as the movie goes on, you see like the deterioration of that and like how that kind of relationship morphs and twists with all the other goings-ons.
So Larry, they jump into living and getting involved in this nightclub. The nightclub manager, everybody in this movie takes it extremely easily that they're mermaids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. It's normal.
It's like, oh, I grew up in Detroit. I knew 2 mermaids there. What?
Yeah. I mean,
those are some rough mermaids.
Yeah.
Rough Detroit mermaids.
8 Mile mermaids.
right. So like you said, it skips ahead, right? They see them on the beach, and then it skips ahead. Next thing you know, they're in the club, right? The band is playing. The owner of the club smells fish. He's like, he's like, what is that? Does anybody not smell this? And he's walking around the kitchen where people are dancing with like baguettes in their hands. Yep. Waiters are dancing by. I've worked in a lot of kitchens. Not really much time for dancing.
Yeah, that chef was not dressed appropriately to be cooking.
No.
She had like a very fancy blue shirt on.
Right.
Very fancy.
Right.
It was. I don't know. It seemed very
Very
fancy
revealing blue shirt.
Yeah.
So he eventually finds them, right? Like he finds a locked door, and then he opens it with his key, and they're just sitting there, right? They're not fish yet. They're just sitting there. The band leader, the drummer guy, pours water on the legs and shows them that they're fish, and the guy's like, "Oh, okay."
Well, he first says, "Take off your clothes." This old guy.
Yeah.
And they turn them around. They got no.
The band leader makes them take off their clothes.
Yeah.
And do a little spin, and he's like, "Look, smooth as Barbie dolls."
Yeah, they got no butt cracks.
They're non-butt cracks.
Right. No cracks anywhere in these.
You know,
he even makes Silver sit down, and he lifts up a leg to show.
Yeah.
I was weirdly
as
less
smooth as a Barbie.
I was less weirded out by the no vagina as the no butt crack. Like the no butt crack look is just odd.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't know.
Need a crack.
Yeah.
That's kind of like in Coneheads, right? When you see him, when he's in the locker room and you see his butt, that's what I thought of when I saw it.
It's got like those 2 nodules.
Yeah, those 2 knobs there. No, the thing that
so Lloyd's right.
Scene...
So they do the spin, and he shows them that there's no cash and prizes, and then he pours the water, and all of a sudden they have like 10-foot tails. And then the old guy starts finger banging Golden, I think.
Yeah.
Right? I think
Silver.
And they're like kind
Silver?
of just giggling on the couch about it.
Yeah, that's when the old guy says, "That smells fishy."
Yeah.
And the band leaders go, "It's not so bad."
He fingers Silver because essentially this whole time, Golden doesn't want anything to do with any of this, really. Like, she just wants to kill, because remember there's that scene a little bit later on when they start to become, like, when they break away from the...
When this guy's, like, kind of kicking them in the ass as they're walking out
he's
the door.
like hip jamming them, and she just says, "Don't touch me."
She's like, "Don't fucking touch me."
You know, but by the way, Larry, when at some point when you get back out there and form a new band, you got to call it Figs and Dates. Like, that's just, that just rocks.
That's fair. I can do that.
So they start to get ingratiated into this nightclub, and we get several, as Lloyd said before we were recording, expositional musical scenes where they go shopping in the big city of Warsaw, and they go to like, TJ Maxx ski or whatever they call it, and they start to do all this stuff.
Right.
But
talking about how they're integrating into the city. I mean, every song they sing is exposition, like just explaining either what they're doing or what's going on around them.
It's tying the last scene into the next scene, because like John said, they're skipping ahead. We don't know how much really they're skipping ahead, but they are skipping ahead.
And there's no real timeline for how long they're there. Yeah.
Right.
It's not a bad thing at all. I mean, I think most people would say, who wants a little song and dance number in between scenes, but it so works.
Yeah.
I think it might have bothered me if it was in English, because the lyrics aren't that great when translated to English.
Right.
For some reason, I accepted it a lot more because it was in Polish.
I got to be honest, like the melodies to these songs most of them were pretty good.
Yeah. They were all catchy.
Like the first song, I don't remember what it was. The first song that the
at the
club was definitely like a disco song, because she's singing in American.
Oh, that was Donna Summer. I feel like.
The very first song, with Donna Summer.
I loved that. I thought that was great. I thought that was a really good way to open it up.
I knew I recognized it, but I didn't know where I'd recognize it from. But yeah, when they start getting involved, and like, let's just be straight up honest, like the black eye makeup, like goth like
that
scene.
scene.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Oh yeah,
That's when she
I
was
love
in.
that.
That's when they introduced him finally as the
As the
lore,
lore.
right?
as the lore.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's
they
when
formed
their own band.
They formed
They were
their
like,
own
they don't
band.
need to be in Fig and Dates anymore.
Right.
They can run their own fucking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they kind of had more of a more rock feel.
Yeah,
Oh
right? A
yeah,
little
that
more-
scene was mesmerizing. You know, it was like a techno display, and
Yeah,
I loved that song.
Yeah, it was
course it
like
was.
fast paced and intense, and like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it just really showed you how they drew everybody in the club in because everybody's reaching towards them, trying to touch them, and
Hmm.
they're
Yeah.
very like
right.
magnetic.
But going back to that first performance, like John said, like so they're just normal legs singing, and everybody's like, yeah, this is cool. And then all of a sudden they get into like a giant champagne glass, and their tails come out, and everybody is very oddly receptive.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah.
Like you would think that there would be at least one guy who's like, I gotta call like the Inquirer, like I need to have the government come here, like something, right? You would think there would be at least one person who's like, this is fucked up.
There's one lady, like Vinny had pointed it out to me. We were watching it. She just like is kind of clapping, like very unimpressed in the background. You can
Yeah,
just tell
right.
she's just like, yeah, whatever. I don't care about
Yeah.
this.
Well, maybe those other
Like
people had
fuckfish.
seen that like a punk rock show with that Triton character.
Also, maybe it lays into the idea that they're more than mermaids, that they're like sirens, because eventually, like you said in the first scene, the lead singer screams, and then she kind of falls in. So maybe women are supposed to be less receptive, and it takes longer. But
I
like,
think that's
except for that
reflected in the later
detective.
scene. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, the detective scene.
That
Like it was
detective
harder to reel her in.
So yeah, that the detective scene that happens a little later, right after Golden had killed somebody. Who did Golden kill? Just like a random dude,
A
right?
random dude.
club
Yeah, just
dude.
some random guy
Because,
at the bar.
well, I think early on we see the two sirens telepathically communicating with each other.
Yeah, that
that
was
was
cool.
the
Yeah.
first time.
those scenes
Right.
are awesome too, by the way, real quick, because as they're communicating with each other telepathically, there's like whale sounds and
Yes.
stuff in the
Yep.
background.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
so fucking cool. Yeah.
No, I love that.
thought
I thought that was cool.
really good effect.
Yep.
But that's when you learn about that. And there's also the freezing time element. So one of the scenes with the whole band apparently living together in a house. And then Golden starts singing about how dark her thoughts are and her impulses are. And everyone else is frozen in time, but she's just
right.
going around the house. So I don't.
Of Silver
Yeah.
pretends to be frozen
Right.
because as soon as Golden walks by, she turns her head
Yep.
again. So yeah, I think she's some kind of power. Everybody kind of fucking. It's not really explained, and it doesn't have to
Right.
be.
It doesn't have to be,
works.
but you
Right.
just accept it. You're
But-
just like, yeah,
yeah.
I get it.
But then, like, so there's a scene when Silver's at the club. They're back at the club, and the woman is trying to give Silver a cigarette, right? And Silver's like, I've never smoked before, but she does. And then that's when Golden ends up getting confronted by. No, she takes that dude. She goes off with a dude and fucking eats his heart in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and that's
Yeah.
the first time that one of them.
Let me
kills
ask a
somebody.
question. When she's in the car with the guy, she is human form,
Yeah.
but there's no water in the car. But
They
she
pop the
slithers
champagne
out.
bottle. You can
Oh,
hear the pop
champagne?
of the shit. Because when they're
thank
at the
you.
bar, he says like champagne or whatever Polish word.
Because I was
for it.
wondering how she slithered out of there.
Lloyd, how
as
do
a
you say
deal.
that in Polish?
Yes, please.
Champagne?
Yeah,
perfect.
there you go.
Okay, thank you.
That's easy.
Champagne.
Yeah, 'cause
You guys-
if you watch it again, you can actually hear the popping of the cork right before the sounds of whatever struggle or like the gnashing.
Okay.
Of the,
All right.
Yeah.
I got it.
As you both repeatedly say champagne, I'm just thinking of Christopher Walken as the Continental on
The
SNL.
champagne.
Yeah.
Come inside, have some champagne. Yeah, and then she does that crazy thing where
Here comes
af-
Colonel Angus.
Colonel Angus, after she gets herself back to like mermaid form, she like creepily crawls down like to the water again, right? After she kills the guy. So yeah, then we get a scene where this is a great scene, by the way, where everybody is watching TV together and they see the news report of the murder. And I love the fact that they're all on the couch and everybody is just looking at each other sideways, just going, you know that she did this, right? Like, and then the band decide, okay, in there without communication that we've got to get rid of these two because it's going too far. And obviously she killed somebody. I never knew you could kill or totally disable two mermaids just by punching them in the face.
Right.
He gives them a double punch.
Boom.
And they go out.
Isn't that like shark logic? Aren't you supposed to punch a shark in the face?
I think so.
Should
Yeah,
we
I've
just
heard
punch
that.
all sea creatures?
Right in the
if
nose.
they're attacking us, if they feel like a threat, I'm just going to punch like fish and like octopuses and shit.
Octopi.
Octopi, sorry.
Yeah. Come on, Laura. You're
Sorry.
better than that.
Yeah, come on. Conjugate properly, for Christ's sake.
I just thought it was super weird. Now, we did skip over before this happens that Golden does get picked up by the cop who wants to take her in, but then falls under her spell and ends up licking her spine, as we talked about earlier.
Which really bothered you.
And she wears that cool like body
oh yeah,
fishnet suit.
yeah.
like,
They're wearing
on
fishnet. I thought that
on
Yeah.
was funny
the
too.
fishtail.
They drop that character like totally. Like, not that you
Yeah.
needed her anymore, but like she fucks her and chucks her apparently. So the band then decide that since they apparently have killed these two, that they're gonna give them the old like mafia carpet treatment and
I'm
throw them.
gonna cut you off.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna cut you off but do you remember what Golden asked him right before that? Where's the money? Where's the money for these gigs?
Yeah. Why don't you ever take us to play volleyball?
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was weird. Yeah.
I honestly, I think it was more that, like, this, like, showbiz. He's fucking stealing their money, and he's like, nope, we got to get rid of him. I think the killing thing was just maybe the icing on the cake or whatever, or a way that he could justify it in his own head. But I think it was more that they wanted money that he thought was his because he's the band leader.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. That makes a lot of sense, though.
Yeah, I didn't think of that either. Laura, I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You're a mermaid. You get rolled up in a carpet, tossed into a fjord or whatever.
It's a river.
Yeah. A fjord.
A fjord. You get tossed into some form of water. You come back and you confront the person that does it. Thumb? Are you taking the thumb off are you biting the thumb off?
I feel like I would take the thumb and the pointer finger, especially if he's a drummer, because that's really going to fuck him up.
Yeah.
Two fingers, not one.
They come back in and the three of them are all scared and she bites off his like right thumb.
Yeah.
Just
And like
takes it
nothing
off.
really even happens about that. Like they're just like, I guess that's our punishment. He loses his thumb.
Exactly.
After the thumb gets spit off, what are they back in the club? You know what? Silver is back in the club, and now she's smoking like an old pro.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Her transformation to being ruined by these humans is pretty close to fucking complete. She's sitting there, she's smoking, she's drinking fucking shots of vodka or whatever it is. Is it vodka?
Oh, it's definitely vodka.
I don't know how they say it.
Vodka.
Lloyd, tell us. How is it?
Vodka.
Yeah.
Vodka. Okay.
So yeah, she's fucking now. She's showing you that she's pretty much human, but now she's telling I think he's a random dude. I don't even know who the guy was at the bar, that she's about to get some real legs and a badge. She's like, hey, just in case you don't know, time for me to get some real legs and a badge.
Yeah.
What
That was.
She's like, you
was
want
this
my tail, don't you? You want a
Before or
fish tail.
after?
Yeah, that's right. And the guy's like, no,
I don't think I
particularly.
ever said that to you. Where do you get that information
I
from?
don't think I need that tail.
And this is all happening because she has fallen in love with the bass player,
Right.
who has kind of finally fallen under a spell after when she gives him the first chance to basically bang her mermaid slit. He tells her, "You're just an animal to me.
Yeah, you're a fish.
Yeah.
You're a fish." So this is where she's completely kind of over, like, I'm done being a mermaid. I'm going to change for this guy. This is definitely a story about, the woman who wants to change for this guy who clearly doesn't really give a shit about her.
And he only starts to give a shit once she starts singing her siren song to him. And that's when he kind of, they go underwater and
Oh,
fuck or
that's
whatever.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because she's in
Even
the
the first time they kiss is when she's singing in the fucking champagne glass.
Yeah.
Like it's always, he's never super interested in her.
Yeah,
unless-
it was her like feeling him, not the other way
Yep.
around. It was all fake.
and she's just gonna ruin herself for a guy.
A tale as old as time.
Yeah, it really is.
That's right. Yeah,
Really
literally.
is.
Tail.
A tail.
Manster, real quick, I want to ask Manster, now we meet the Triton character who is metal
Yeah.
as fuck. He apparently is some form of sea creature that has
Some
come
sea
to
creature.
Earth, because he says, like he's all damaged, and he's like, well, fisherman got my hook,
Right.
my horn here,
Ripped.
and this one I ripped out myself.
I ripped it out myself.
I tore it out. I'm metal. I'm punk rock. I tore it out myself. I didn't go to like the fucking horn dentist for that shit.
Horn dentist.
Now,
The
Manster,
horntist.
the horntist, Manster, what does the Triton tell her is a risk of the whole human falling in love with a mermaid, vice versa, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, this Triton dude is who appears a few times, and you're like, who is this dude? You just see little glimpses of him, but now they're talking, and so he tells her that if her sister falls in love, and that love marries somebody else, then she will turn into sea foam. And if she has her tail removed to become a real girl, then she will lose her voice.
Those are both pulled directly from the original Hans Christian Andersen's Little Mermaid. Like, yeah.
I've never seen the Disney Little Mermaid. Is anything
You've never seen the Little Mermaid?
No,
I guess that's, yeah.
I was probably like 15
she,
and I'm a guy, and I'm not saying that to be, it's just,
that makes sense. It didn't really occur to me that there are people out there that haven't seen that movie.
Yeah.
Because I was the target audience when that came out. So.
But does anything from that version skew to like the actual Hans Christian Andersen? Because it seems like the Hans Christian Andersen thing is all about terrifying vampire, succubus, siren mermaids.
No, the monster type stuff is added just for the story.
Okay.
But like those rules, like Laura just said, that's part of the Little Mermaid story.
Okay.
Yeah, she does lose her voice to get legs.
That it also, in a less violent way, translates to the Disney version. She loses her voice when she gets legs to go ashore and fall in love with Prince Eric.
So she moves on, and she goes to have this surgery done against the wills of Golden. Golden's just like, let's just go to America. That's where we were heading anyway, via Poland. We ended up here. What? This surgery.
How'd you like the surgery tables?
This surgery table. Awesome. First of all, it's just that couldn't work, right? Like,
no, listen.
I got it. Wait, you just said right. Like, that couldn't work, right?
And second, I have a second.
I feel like. Oh, go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
Who was the other girl?
Oh, yeah.
Random.
Yeah, I like how that wasn't explained.
Okay.
It was just like some girl we got the legs for.
Because it seemed like they were putting the tail on the other girl.
Yeah, some girl wanted to be a mermaid.
But you never. I was wondering, like, did they put the tail on the other girl, or were they just like, this is the only place we can really put this right now?
Can that work?
I don't think it works like that.
All you need is a few stitches around the perimeter.
Listen, and I gotta say, if this movie is any indication, I think I could be a surgeon.
Me too. Yeah.
I mean, we all could.
Yeah, I might be able to pull this off. It doesn't.
Yeah, you just kind of eyeball where you cut. You don't even make any marks. You just like go right in there with the.
Not even a straight cut either. It's all wavy and
very jagged.
I feel like I could perform a bottomectomy if I needed to.
Yeah. I really like the fact that after her surgery is over, when you see her naked, she's two different tones because the girl was darker than she was.
Yeah.
From the waist or whatever, like the midsection. Yeah, you're right. Like it's like just throw it together and.
I was like, that doesn't seem like much rehab either.
No.
Like a few days later, she was walking. I mean, not great, but you would figure there'd be a lot of nerve attachment, like issues, like.
No, that stuff just all meshes together. It's just magic.
Yeah. Just put the bottom half
sew the
right
skin together. That's all you need.
You ever take like a Barbie apart? I would think it's really just getting that to click into the hip.
It's kind of like the
you gotta get the click sound.
You're saying it's a ball and socket instead of like, okay, all right.
If you just get the spine to click into the hip bones, I think you're good.
That's how the body works. The body is not that complicated.
You make, like twist one way, the other way until it really pops in.
It snaps in, yeah.
And
but one thing I noticed this time that I hadn't noticed on any previous viewings were at the concert with Triton when he's not wearing a shirt, you can see he has a scar around his torso. He had the same surgery.
Yeah, you can see that.
And he's all healed. I'd never, this is the first time I noticed that after I've seen it a couple of times.
In the concert scene, I particularly liked that like territorial bitch that didn't want Golden on the stage. Like
kicks her away
and is trying to keep her away from the microphone. I like that. So Golden has been given the opportunity to join, Triton's like fucking, I don't know, metal punk band. And
yeah, I don't know what they were. He's a douche though, right? I mean, like
Yeah.
you could tell she's all proud of herself after that, and he's like, "Hey, I gotta tell you, you need a lot of work." I was
Yeah.
like, "God damn, man,
Right.
throw her a bone, would you?" Fuck.
Yeah, he was pretty mean about that.
Yeah.
So getting back to the Golden and her healing, what happened when they had sex? What was, I gotta ask, in your mind, everybody, Lloyd, I'll ask you, was it the blood from her wounds that freaked him out, or was something wrong with her vagina?
So in my mind, yeah, it's 100%. It was the blood from her scars seeping out, because you need more than 5 minutes of recovery time before you could fuck.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once
I
you got a bottomectomy.
Yeah.
When
Once
you have a taillectomy,
Yeah.
that's it. You need at least 6 months before
Yeah.
you can do that stuff.
It's just that, the young kid being grossed out the first time he sees period blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exactly what that's a metaphor for.
And do you think it also had the fact to do with the
Speaking
fact
of excision,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do you think it had to do with the fact that at this point now, because she has done the surgery, she has lost her voice, and he is completely
He's no longer, yep.
Yeah, there's
He's-
nothing left of that mermaid magic that was pulling him in the first place. She's just like a normal human now that
Right.
he just doesn't really care about that much.
Right.
So in the meantime, the drummer, apparently this whole time, which I didn't realize, was married to the lead singer woman. He leaves her
Yeah.
in the middle of the night. He leaves his ring on the table, leaves her. He sneaking out, but he stops long enough to light a smoke, and then he's like waving the smoke. It's like, just get outside and do it. You're trying to get out of there.
It was a very important part of that.
Yeah. And then the bass player, he goes to do he does session work too on the side. He's a much asked for bass player. He meets like this redheaded engineer girl, and we know right away that this is coming quick. So not as quick as I would have figured, because the next scene, we're at the wedding, right? We're essentially at the wedding, and it's supposed to be obviously sometime later, but Silver is wheelchair bound. Like it was botched. As Frank Reynolds says when he's using the toe knife on his toe, he botched it.
Oh, botched toe. I botched that one. Oh, that's a botched job.
The whole surgery was botched. And she's now very sadly watching this wedding. Kind of a nice occasion on a boat. But meanwhile, Triton shows up and Golden, and they both at different times, Larry, tell Silver, what does she have to do?
She has to fucking eat him. She's got to eat him before the sun comes up. And if she doesn't, she's a goner.
She's going to turn into a pile of sea foam.
Yeah, so it's just like, she's really fucked herself. Like you said, so this botched surgery. She gets kicked out of her band, right? She can't sing anymore. They tried to say, oh, she can lip sync. And that guy's like, not in my club. Like he owns fucking, I don't know, the Whiskey A Go-Go.
Yeah.
This is a classy joint. We don't do lip syncing
Fucking
here.
restaurant in downtown Warsaw. Calm the fuck down, dude. And to her credit, they're like, well, we'll just make, Golden a solo act. And she's like, I don't sing without my sister. Like, she sees her fucking up, and she's tried to help her, and Silver won't listen. Remember at one point, she's like, you can't fucking do this. And Silver's like, you try to stop me, you'll never see me again.
Yeah.
She holds on, and she's trying to help her, and she's like, her and Triton are like, you got to eat this fucking guy. He's married. He doesn't give a shit about you. Fucking eat him. But I don't know what eating him will. Maybe she's not going to die, but can she ever be a mermaid again? She's got no fucking fish.
Oh, I don't
Her
think
fish
so.
is gone.
I think the idea is that she's not a mermaid anymore, but she's still a mermaid, because eating him will stop the curse or whatever it is of her disappearing. But yeah, she's got legs. She's got not a vagina. She's got all that stuff. Her voice is gone. I think. Manster, give us what happens. Let's go through the very end.
So in the end, when they're at the ceremony and they are standing there hugging, and you can see, she's not going to eat him. She does have those teeth when you see her from behind, but she just loves him way too much. And as he's turning around, you don't see her for a second, and then as he fully turns around, he's literally covered from head to toe with this green sea foam. And of course, Golden is just right down at the end of the hallway or whatever, and sees her, sees that she's gone, sees him, and screams. I think it just just runs right on, jumps right on to his neck, wraps her legs around him, and just rips his throat out.
She cross-body blocks him. She goes in the air and like just starts fucking chomping on this dude. She rips his throat out. He's even still alive because when she runs to kind of get away, because everybody sees this shit.
Right.
When she runs to get to the water, they show that shot of him from above, and he's like, he's kind of breathing.
He's like a pool of blood just gurgling up through his neck. It was a really good effect.
Yeah, it was certainly not a recoverable. This isn't like, oh, you're going to be okay.
Right.
You're fucking dead.
And of course, she just goes into the river or whatever and just swims away.
Did anybody think that the last scene of this movie underwater reminded them of the first scene of Jaws? Just like underwater with like the plant life and stuff. I don't know if that was
Creature from the Black Lagoon vibes myself.
Yeah. So all right, so that's 2015's The Lure. The yes, this is House of Horrors, but we'll go a little bit off to the musical horror mermaid genre on this one.
Dance movie.
But as we do on every, even though there weren't a lot on every House of Horrors episodes, we have to talk about our favorite kill, kids. So let's talk about our favorite kill.
Officer Hawkins, tell me, what happened in here? Tell me what happened. Did Michael kill? Did Michael kill again?
Laura, again, not many, but what would you say was your favorite kill in this film?
I really like the first one. I like, I think I like this throughout other movies. I like the imagery of blood in a car, like just like violence, like spread across all the inside. That's just kind of more, I think it's more visceral than just seeing it because it's more implying what she did, and there's just blood all over the inside of this car. So you immediately get like how vicious they can be because we don't see that up to this point. So I think that was probably my favorite one.
All right, I'll go next. I know this will be, I guess, could you categorize it as a kill or was it a knockout? I'm going to go with a kill and they came back. I like the double punch. Knock those two bitches out, kill him, whatever he did to him, roll him up in a carpet, fucking mafia style, and throw him in a fjord. Just toss him in a fucking, or what Lloyd would call Riverski, a Polish river. I found that one quite funny. Manster, what do you got?
Yeah. I really want to go with the militia, the military lady, but you didn't see a kill there. It's just assumed. So, the tail licking.
Ugh.
But I won't go with that. I guess there's not a whole lot of them to choose from, right? But so I'm just going to go with the last one, the Mytek character, with Golden just latching right on and ripping that throat out.
Yeah, she fucks him up bad.
I'll echo the same thing as the Manster. I rooted for Silver to finally come to her senses through the whole movie, and she never did. And so it was sweet revenge that Gold, because I didn't like that dude through the whole movie. I was like, he's a piece of shit, honey. Don't fucking fuck with him. Like, I wish I could have talked to her and been like, you stay a fish, stay a fucking fish. But so Golden getting the revenge for her sister was my favorite kill.
All right.
Yeah.
As always on Scary Larry's House of Horrors, we don't do box office. But Lloyd, I did want to bring this up. You brought up something interesting about Polish box office.
Yeah. So
what do they do there?
When I did my research on this, so the lore, this is how it was described. The lore accumulated 14,899 admissions in its opening weekend.
I don't know what that means.
In 112 cinemas. So they go by admissions, and that's it earned 41,776 admissions in total.
So not sales, but they go by ticket sales. Like
ticket
just like
sales,
how many
like
tickets?
Number of tickets sold. Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
In the U.S., it did have a small run of 101,000.
Not bad for something small like this. All right, let's rate this thing.
Now! What's it gonna be, Doc? Huh? What's it gonna be?
Larry, what are we rating this one on?
Mermaid vaginas.
Yeah. All right.
I swear to fucking God, I don't know why I thought about it earlier, and I said someone's going to say mermaid vaginas for the rating scale, and it happened. It happened.
Yeah. Has to.
Manster, what do you got?
Shit, man. I watched this movie twice.
Shitsky.
I watched it twice.
Again, he has asked me for my rating first, which if you listen to show, you realize I often overrate on the first go. Several months ago, I gave the clearly no better than 4.50 Jurassic Park a 5.
Well, if I could on this one, I'd go 6 right away, but I can't. Like Larry, I watched this the first time, and when I was done, I was just like, wow. I
You
think
turned into
that.
Owen Wilson.
Wow.
So I needed to watch it again. I mean, I watch almost every movie twice, but I needed to watch this one again. And the second watching, it just got even better. I appreciated all the like quirky moments of the band, like when they're all in the house just air jamming to some song, and the drummer dude is doing his thing, and it's just loaded with those moments. The whole movie, it's original, creative, fucking wildly ambitious. This has got to be like the definition of a cult classic movie. Maybe not here because not enough people know about it, but it's definitely the best. I think Larry alluded to the best rock opera horror fairy tale story about killer mermaids that I've ever seen. Like, it tops every other one. It gives just a monstrous twist to your typical mermaid lore, and it keeps your interest peaked at every single moment, and delivers some really truly inspired scenes and moments and everything about it. So I'm going to give this thing, and this might even be low to you guys, but a 4 out of 5 fish vaginas.
All right.
Mermaid tail vaginas.
Wrong vagina, Lloyd.
Merginas. Sorry. 4 out of 5 merginas.
Get your genus and
Merginas.
species
I like
of vagina correct. All right, I'll go next. So I have had a long week at work this week, and I had to try to figure out how to work this in the viewing for it. And I was honestly, I'm not even gonna lie, kind of dreading it because, rubber. When Larry and Laura like a movie at the same time, I get fucking nervous. So I watched this Tuesday night, and as we said, or if we didn't mention, I think Lloyd mentioned it. It's on Max if you want to check it out. Hour and a half, so I knew it wasn't going to be that long. I will give it this, man. I was engrossed in this movie, and it wasn't just like, like the weird, like, hey, we're both nursing on this woman bent of it. It was super interesting. Like, this is not a movie that you're going to run into on a regular basis. And from the very beginning, from the first scene where they're singing to them on the beach, I was already kind of engrossed in it. And I liked it. I liked how they jumped through time a little bit. I liked everybody gave a good performance. It's just a super interesting, like, I'm not a musical guy, but I don't mind when movies like kind of drop the musical stuff in a little bit less. Like, it's not like every other scene they're singing to each other. And the songs were all good. I actually liked all the songs. I've got a taste now for mermaid vagina and Polish pop music, I guess.
Right.
Just not mermaid.
No,
fin.
don't say it. No, that fucking fin.
Spine.
No fin ridge.
Weird
right,
fucking fin ridge. That's the worst word. The worst combination of words I've ever heard. Now, that being said, I did enjoy it, but it's not something, I'm not getting the Criterion disc. This isn't like a massive rewatch for me, but it is one that I will tell people to check out. So based on that alone, I'm going to give it a 3.25. And I'll go back to the old days, a solid 3.25. This is definitely worth a watch. All right, Laura, what do you got?
I really enjoy this movie. This is like probably the third or fourth time I've watched it. I also watched it twice just to make sure I got all of the information in my head, but just the look of the movie is beautiful. It has a lot of cool tones. Like, it kind of almost gives you an underwater feel just because of the colors they use. There's some of these shots are just framed really interestingly. And, sometimes it's hard to get into a movie when they're not speaking your language. There's a cultural difference, and it's just, sometimes there's a disconnect there, but this one just really pulled me in. And again, like, despite the weird unexplained time jumps, it didn't bother me. I really like the lore of these mythical creatures. I would love to know more about this world. Like, I think that's a sign of a good movie. You want to keep learning more about it. I wouldn't want them to ever make a sequel, but like maybe I'd read a companion manual or something about that. But yeah, so I really like this. I'll definitely watch it again. I probably would pick up the Criterion disc if, you know, I had a couple extra bucks laying around. But yeah, I'd give this a good 4.25 mermaid vaginas.
All right.
Well,
I like how Laura called the book a manual. She's like, I don't Laura, on the show, Laura has just proven she's an android.
Yeah.
I would certainly scan a companion manual if someone were to supply it to me.
Oh, damn, my secret.
All right.
I'm a secret robot. Lloyd's a secret Polish.
Yeah. Larry, what do you got? Last episode of season 3.
3? I thought this was 4.
This is 3. 4 is coming up. We'll talk about that in the other show.
Whatever. No, this is, obviously I wouldn't have fought for this movie. I believe whichever season this movie was in the running for, I
2.
got angry every time it was a choice and nobody voted for it. So I believe when you said, when we came up with the losers list idea, this was the very first one. I was like, we're fucking this or Excision, one or the other. I was like, we're fucking doing it. Like, that's it. we're fucking doing them. I don't care what anybody says. I really enjoy this movie. Like Laura said, it's really a beautifully shot movie. To know that this was a first time director is pretty incredible. And I've read that she has since done 2 other really good movies, neither of which I've seen. But I will seek them out. I don't think either are horror, but I've heard that they're both very good. So I will check them out because I'm interested to see what else she can do. I do, unlike you, like musicals. A Chorus Line is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Oh, you know what? Hold on. Larry's a secret gay.
Yeah. John, it's not so secret, okay? Oliver, the musical, is one of my favorite things of all time. I love Annie. I'm a big fan of music and musicals. So yeah, I really do appreciate the music in this. I think it does a really good job of setting the tone for the scenes and bridging the gap between the time jumps. I think it's really smartly done. I would recommend the Criterion Collection because, like I said, that 45-minute making of behind the scenes, super fucking interesting. These are some really interesting people, especially the 2 women musicians, the band who play at the wedding, the one that this is kind of based on. Like, they're really interesting people. This is one of those movies for me where even though I know what's going to happen at the end, I still hope it doesn't happen anyway, even though I know what's going to happen. I'm like, no, like maybe this time it'll be different, right? Like every time I watch the Bad News Bears, I'm like, maybe they'll win at the end of this one. I've seen it 100 times. I know that the Bears lose. I don't care. I'm like, Kelly's going to be safe at home. This is the time. Like, and this is that kind of movie for me. I'm like, fucking Silver's just going to eat him and she's going to fucking survive. But she doesn't. I really want her to. And that to me is a sign of a really successful film. There are, like I said, I really think that they made a mistake with that time jump before the wedding. I think there should have been a little bit more. I mean, how quickly could they have gotten married? Like I said, I know what they were going for. I feel like I would have wanted a more powerful message of Silver eating him and getting everything back. But maybe it was powerful enough to let her succumb to her love and let Golden be the one who was strong enough to kill him at the end. I don't know. This is what a movie this good to me makes me keep questioning it, makes me keep thinking about it and talking. We could do another episode about it in 2 weeks and I'll probably say all different shit because it's that kind of movie for me. I really enjoy it. For me, it's 4.5 mermaid vaginas for the lore.
Wow. Okay. All right. So pretty good ratings all across the board. I didn't get into the 4s, but I still enjoyed it more than I thought I would. So that's the lore. That's the end of season 3. Couple things here now. Well, I'll cut this out later. Larry, this is coming out next week before your next show. Do you want to announce whatever your next show is on here, or you want to keep it a secret until?
No, I'll announce it on here.
Okay.
We'll give them a little special trinket.
All right. Nice. All right. So I'll cut that part out and you throwing up on yourself.
No, you leave that in.
You know what? I'm leaving it in now because that was just perfect. All right. First off, we decided that the next season 4, Larry picked the movies. We're going to be doing Hammer Horror. So that is coming in October, which is going to be all horror October here on The Pint. We're going to do the first episode, and I'll only give you the first episode. The Pint Insiders know, so if you want to be a Pint Insider, go to Patreon/thepint, and they saw the lineup. But if you want to know, the first episode is The Devil Rides Out from 1968. We'll be talking about that. Now, that's season 4 of Scary Larry's House of Hammer Horrors, by the way. We're going to throw that in there. Connecticut Cult Classics. This week coming up, we have the August 19th Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4, but nobody knows what is happening in October except for Larry. And Larry is going to tell us right now, give us a little hint as to what's coming up in October at Cult Classics.
Yeah, usually we don't announce this until the show. So you guys are getting a sneak preview. So keep it to your fucking selves.
Shut your fucking whore mouth.
Shut your fucking
More
pie
reasons
hole.
to listen to the pint.
That's right.
Shut your mermaid tail, you sons of bitches. So it is October 14th is the date.
Oh, it's my birthday.
Is that your birthday?
Yeah.
Hey!
Hey.
And this is Laura's birthday party.
Yay.
Yay! The name of the show, because we always have to name the shows, is All Hauntings Eve. And we're going to do a couple of my favorite haunted house movies. We're going to do the original Amityville Horror and the original Poltergeist.
Ooh, that's
All
exciting.
right.
Thank you for doing that for my birthday.
Absolutely.
Very
That's
nice
why I
of
did
you.
it. I was like, these are her
100%.
favorite
Thank you.
movies.
100%. And coincidentally, Poltergeist was the last episode we did in season 1
Mhm.
of House of Horrors. And over on Patreon, again, another reason you should become a Pint Insider, we're doing Scary Larry's House of Horrors Classics. The next one we're doing is the Amityville Horror. So
Yes.
look at that. You can't go wrong. All right, that's awesome. That's incredible. Cannot wait for October 14th. Cannot wait for next week or this week for night. Well, honestly, for Nightmare on Elm
Whatever.
Street 3 and 4. It's still a good night. Will still be a good time to have fun, but Nightmare on Elm Street 3 really sucks. I know. I said that to piss Laura off. Other than that, that's really it. Manster, why don't you tell everybody where they can find us and then say see us so we can go.
All righty. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts. Just check us out. We come out weekly, and we would sure love it if you could give us a rating on that. We know you love us, so 5-star rating would be great.
Oh, yeah.
On Facebook and YouTube, it's The Pint, a pop culture podcast. On Instagram and Threads, it's at The Pint Podcast. And you can always become a Patreon Pint Insider at www.patreon.com/The Pint. Do zobaczenia.
See ya. What just happened?
Oh, Jesus. The secret poll.
We are leaving!